Welcome to the Technical Traders Podcast, the show that brings you technically proven strategies and trade ideas from experts around the world. We're going to help you make more money with less risk so you can take your trading to the next level. Now, here's your host, Jim Goddard.
My guest is Chris Vermeulen from the technicaltraders.com, the executive producer of this podcast. Chris, do you want to share with our listeners why we're starting this podcast series?
Yeah, sure, Jim. Oh, it's pretty straightforward, really. The whole process is we simply want to help others learn how to become wealthier, live a better life, and they can do that through learning through others who have already kind of had success, or they're on the journey through success as we speak. And there's no point in learning the hard way through trial and error when you can fast track your way through the growth phase of learning more about who you are, what you want to do, different ways to make success. And I think this show, we're going to bring on lots of different guests from all different aspects and areas of the world, and we're going to be able to show guests, what those people have done, why they do it, stories about how they got involved. So it's going to be a great way to figure out how to become more wealthy in the markets and in life as well.
What do you hope to share in these podcasts with a new guest every week?
Yeah, so everyone's got, a pretty incredible story. And people come from so many different walks of life, and stories go from one extreme to the other. So the whole point here is we want to hear, different individual stories and what happened, how they got involved in trading, investing, different businesses, and into their passion businesses. We want to get, their ideas, their insight, and really, it's very interesting because everyone sees the world through a different lens, and they all find a unique way to either trade or invest or help people. And as we talk to these people, the more people you help, the more successful you become. And it's pretty amazing how a lot of these people have very similar qualities and traits of what they focus on. So we're going to be sharing stories and hearing some pretty amazing stories from individuals, and through these stories, they're going to be educational as well. So when you're finished listening to these podcasts, you're going to hopefully be inspired. You're going to be excited to take on new things that you're thinking of doing, or to improve processes and steps you're already doing going forward. And that's the best way to do it, is to follow people who have gone down the path before you and listen to all the different ways it's been done, and create your own kind of path in a way that suits your personality style, your financial style, just what you want to do. And I think that's really critical for people to have success, because you've got to make sure you do things the way that works with who you are. You don't want to force things, or else it becomes a job, and jobs aren't fun. So that's hopefully what people are going to get out of our podcast here.
How did you get started in trading and investing?
Right. So it was a progression. So kind of a long story here of where I started and to where I am today. So long story short is I've always been into creating and building things. When I was a kid in high school, I built a remote control airplane. I built a camera on it, used to take photos. I'd only be able to take one photo. I'd have to land the plane, rewind up the camera. I went on to build a taser out of a camera flash. I built a go-kart, a dirt bike with a sidecar. I've built boat, an airplane. I built a log cabin with my hands and just hand tools with my best friend out in the woods. I mean, I love a good challenge. I even invented the world's first flying electric jet surfboard. So I love challenges in general. And once I got wind of the stock market when I was 16 in high school, I was like, this is my next challenge. I want to master these markets, because what we did in high school was we had this competition with other classes or other schools, which classroom could make the most money with a $100,000 investment. And over one semester, I think we made like $180,000. And that was my eye-opening experience, going, oh my gosh, this is the next thing that I want to master. And so that's been it. For 25 years, I've been focusing on the markets, constantly refining things, and it's kind of led me down this path, and I've become a technical trader. I've kind of done the whole gauntlet. I've gone from trading stocks to options, to Forex, futures, day trading, you name it. I've gone through the whole cycle, and I've found my fit, the way my brain can perceive the market, find consistent trades, and it's all based on technical analysis. I don't use any fundamental anymore because I've gone through 2 bear markets where you can own stocks that are growing quarter after quarter, and the stock price keeps dropping 25% in value every quarter. It goes against, all logic. And that was when I realized, hey, fundamentals, sure, they help when the trend is right, but technicals, if you follow the charts, the only way any of us make money as an investor is if our asset goes in the direction we want. And so by following the trends, identifying them, we can find which ones are the strongest, move our money in, catch that trend. When it's starting to show signs of weakness, we can start to trim off our position and go find something fresh in a new kind of best asset now theory of always rotating your money into the best sector and going through that. So that's kind of the phase of how I got into the stock market. And the guy who actually inspired me was Larry Williams. I ended up getting this little booklet in the mail. My dad got this booklet. Of course, I was 16, and it was about trading commodities. And back then, commodities, there were no micro contracts or mini contracts. So when you had a trade, you could make $30,000, $50,000, $100,000 fairly quickly. And so that's what got me hooked into the market. I read this little booklet a bunch of times. I remember going to my dad saying, hey, let's open a futures account. Let's trade together. And he's like, I'm not touching those things. And of course, I didn't realize the leverage involved in futures back then. But that was really what sparked my initial interest. And then, of course, later that year in school is when we did the stock market challenge. And that solidified the whole thing. That's what kind of put the whole process into place. So anyways, looking forward several more years, I ended up writing a book on technical trading mastery. And I actually contacted Larry. I said, Larry, I'd love for you to read the book and write a review on the back of my book, because you're the one who got me into this. You've allowed me to live this amazing lifestyle. And so that's what ended up happening. It went full circle from reading his booklet, getting involved, him being part of mine, and it was a pretty amazing thing. So that was kind of how I phased into the markets. And then, investing isn't just in the stock market. I also started, as I started to earn or save up some wealth, I started to invest in other things. I ended up starting my own health product company and built up a dealer network across Canada, United States. I ended up selling that company in 2007, pretty much when the stock market was topping out. And then I took that cash, and then when I decided, hey, I'm going to move into trading and helping others learn how to trade as well. And that's when I founded Technical Traders, which is now an 8-figure business, which is unbelievable from nothing to where it is today. And of course, now I'm able to invest in other things like real estate. I've built duplexes, I call them super duplexes, and they have accessory apartments. Which is they generate a lot of income because you've got, 4 rental units in more or less one building. I also own waterfront properties. I've gone on to build my own self-storage facilities on industrial properties. So investing isn't just in the market. It's once you start to accumulate wealth, you can start to branch out and start to diversify among all these different asset classes, which is really, really important. And there's one type of asset that a lot of people don't even really factor in or don't even know about, which are annuities, which in layman's terms, you're more or less pay into this insurance plan, this life insurance plan on yourself, and you pay into it, and then 20, 40 years later, you've accumulated all this wealth and all this interest, and it's leveraged on your death. And so when you get older, you can sign that insurance plan over to the bank, and you more or less can pull like 85% of the cash value of that insurance plan. It's almost like winning the lottery. You can have millions of dollars in there, and you get to spend that money tax-free and live off that in your later years. And then when you die, the bank gets the rest of the insurance premium. They pay off the premium required, and the leftover cash would go on to your kids, or you can give it to charity. So that is another kind of a investment that is a long-term investment. And I really like it because it's not like the stock market where you can say, I'm going to go put 10 grand in right here, and then down the road you want to go buy a car, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to pull money out of the stock market and go buy a car. The nice thing about annuities is it's a contract, and you are locking yourself in to pay premiums every month or every year, and you can't just pull it out. So I like it because it keeps people accountable. It doesn't allow them to pull their money out, and it's forcing them to have this amazing retirement down the road. And what's really cool, we just wrote a book about this actually, is the younger you are, the less painful it is to be wealthy. So time is money. Time is the biggest leverage, the biggest tool you have other than compound interest. But more or less, if you're young, you can put $100 away a month and do that for 20 or 40 years and have a lot of wealth with one of these plans. And that's painless. But if you're, 55 and you want to retire at 65, you've got to be putting in large lumps of money every year, being very protective of it. So, time is really important. And the annuity play is something, an investment I think almost everyone should have because it is your lotto ticket to kind of retirement down the road. And then, of course, you can get into precious metals. You and I have talked about precious metals many times before. And, that to me is an insurance plan on bad economic times. It's an insurance plan on currency in case currencies devalue. Precious metals aren't a huge portion. Just like you see in portfolios, precious metals are, typically 3 to 5% of most people's portfolios. You don't really need a huge play. I think there's a much better opportunity in different investments, but I think precious metals should be kind of in everyone's investment pocket just because right now we're in a prime time. I think precious metals are on the verge of rallying for potentially a year or 3 years from now, and we're going to see major chaos in currencies in the economy. And then the last thing that I'm investing in right now is actually into the future, helping kids become successful. And we're starting a company called Early Start, and we're helping kids build their own online businesses. I'm helping my daughter. She's got 2 websites. She does live stream casts like every day on her social platforms. It's just pretty amazing. So, that was the long way of how I got into trading and investing, but it all started in college, got into trading, and then starting to diversify through all these other things. And before you know it, you look back and you realize how balanced you are and how many different assets you have going forward. So, I've created financial success many times over in a whole bunch of different avenues, as I just showed you. And the journey to success, while it can be difficult at times, and it'll humble you because no one's perfect in what they do, it is a fun process. And there's nothing more exciting than working towards an amazing future where hopefully you're healthy and you've got lots of money to go do all the things you want. And so that's kind of the process and all the things I've done as I got into investing and how I've matured over time and built my wealth and continue to reinvest in new assets.
What are your investing success philosophies, and what set of principles, beliefs, or experiences do you use to drive your decisions?
Yeah, so I was taught by my parents at a really young age that working hard works. And I heard it again. I was on the treadmill the other day, and I was listening to motivational speeches on YouTube, and some people have put together some pretty amazing talks. Makes your hair stand up. Sometimes you're so excited. Other times you almost want to cry. It's just so motivating, some of these talks. But I heard somebody say this again: hard work works. And the harder you work, the more luck you tend to find. And that's what I've found. I am not the sharpest tool in the shed. I am not, super savvy when it comes to news and fundamentals and a whole whack of stuff. I'm a very picture-oriented guy. That's why I fell in love with charts. I'm like, oh my gosh, I get to look at these cool images and watch them update, and I can draw on them. And I mean, that's the way I work. I would much rather, I like working hard because it creates fun success, and I don't mind working hard because I'm doing things that I love. And one of the mentors that I had, Les Hewitt, he taught me the power of focus. He's like, you've got to have laser beam focus in order to have success. And so I do. I focus right in on the markets. I brought my focus right down to I like trading sectors, indexes, commodities, currencies, bonds, trading just ETFs. That is my focus. And I'm focusing on swing trading, position trading, investing time frames, 3 different time frames. And so that is where I'm really keeping the focus on. And I don't really go too far out. That's why I don't do much with Bitcoin. I don't do a lot of, different plays. I really just stick to the ETFs and the pockets of what the best asset now at any given time is. So another mentor that I had and that I fully believe in is Tony Geary. He taught me you've got to delegate tasks. You've got to get them off your plate and focus only on HLAs. And HLAs are highly leveraged activities, meaning I only want to do the things that I am best at that produce the best results for myself, for the company, whatever those things are. Those are highly leveraged. If I put 4 hours into this project, it could generate, X amount of money down the road or new opportunities. And so I don't want other people doing those. I want to do those. The other thing is he taught me, make sure you do the tasks that you enjoy doing. They don't have to be highly leveraged. It could be calling clients. It could be whatever it is that you like to do. This is one thing I believe people need to do is things that they enjoy. You don't want to just work. So that really is a big part of my day is doing things that I enjoy doing, which is charting and chatting with members in the members area, things like that, going forward. And, also I think you need to work around the things that you enjoy. If you're going to get into a job, you just remember this job or your career is probably going to be most of your life. I know a lot of us change jobs frequently, but ideally you want to make sure you get into something that you're passionate about, that interests you, that you enjoy doing, you like the people in the industry and all those things, because you're going to spend most of your life doing that thing. And when I got hooked on the stock market, I mean, that's it. It's my favorite thing. And right now I'm branching out a little bit. I want to help kids and others become successful through entrepreneurship programs. But I love trading, investing. It's my passion. It's the never-ending challenge, and I love challenges. So the fact that everything changes every day and every week is amazing. That to me is part of the fun part of trying to figure it out and navigate it. And then it comes down to, trading and investing in the stock market. I believe that you can actively trade the stock market. There's people out there say, hey, you can't do that. Well, I believe that you can somewhat time the market. You don't need to be right all the time. You don't need to pick the tops and the bottoms, and you can be wrong, and you can still make a lot of money. And that's what a lot of people don't understand. A lot of people will think, hey, you can't time the markets. Market timing's, a sucker's game. Well, I can prove otherwise. You look at the charts, we can navigate these things and manage positions. It's not about just predicting prices. That's what people think. It's actually about managing your positions. You can still make money when a trade doesn't go against or does go against you. It's all in how you manage that position. So that is like one of the key things that I focus on is I believe you can more or less time the markets to some regard. You can navigate through them because there's always something moving up that can counter another move. And that's kind of how I see my principles with the markets and how I work. It's, focus on what you love, focus on what you're good at, make sure you enjoy it, and just be really focused on what it is you want to specialize in.
Is there something you wish you had known earlier in life, especially before you got into this business?
Oh, yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think I was actually pretty fortunate. My parents were entrepreneurs. I watched them work, 50, 60, 80 hours a week, like incredible hours. And I used to work with them. They used to get my sister and I in there stuffing envelopes and doing all kinds of stuff for them. So I know that you need to do hard work. I think the biggest thing that actually really hit me in the last year was if you want to excel quickly, you need to hire professionals, get experts' help, hire somebody who knows what you need done. Usually they want a lot more money, but those are the people that you want. Cutting corners, it's so easy to do. Not getting the right people is a huge problem going forward because it can hold you back. It's not as good as what it should be. It's a very competitive world out there. So if you want to make way and move ground, be successful, and learn, you definitely need to hire people who are better than you. And hopefully, you're going to naturally improve on all aspects, and life becomes a whole lot easier when things are done the proper way the first time, and you didn't have to try and figure it out for someone.
What can we expect in upcoming podcast episodes?
Well, our goal here is for you and I, Jim, to introduce listeners to a wide range of individuals from all different walks of life. We're going to pretty much ask them similar questions to what you just asked me. We want to know all about them, how they got involved with that particular business or that investment or their trading, investing kind of lifestyle. What caused them to go that direction, what they found to be their sweet spot, because my sweet spot is swing trading, ETFs, mostly slower moving things, but other people's sweet spot are day trading or currencies or precious metals or real estate. So it's going to be pretty interesting when you get to see how everyone sees the world through a different lens and where they found an area that you can build a business, find an investment, and generate income. That is going to be the whole goal. So it's kind of going to be like a mini lesson, and from each individual, kind of woven in with their stories. And that's the listeners should be able to walk away from this hopefully feeling inspired and excited to go learn more about that topic or that investment.
Chris, before we go, how can people find out more about the show? Do you have other plans to alert them to certain broadcasts or podcasts?
Sure, yeah. Well, if you're listening to this as a podcast right now, then you could probably click a subscribe button somewhere on the player here. So when we do post the new podcast, you're going to be alerted right away. You can also go to thetechnicaltraders.com and get on our free email list. You'll be notified there as well, along with all kinds of other weekly opportunities in the stock market. So that's how people can get a hold of us. And of course, we would love your feedback, love to know what topics you'd like us to talk about, who you'd like us to have on the show. I mean, this podcast is all about exploring all kinds of unique and interesting individuals from all walks of life. So if you've got a comment, you've got an idea, make sure you send us an email or you put in a review and let us know what you'd like.
Chris, thank you so much for outlining what we plan to do.
All right. Well, enjoy, everybody. Thanks, Jim, and we'll see you on the next show.
My guest has been Chris Vermeulen, the executive producer of the Technical Traders Podcast. I'm Jim Goddard.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Technical Traders Podcast. If you found value in our show, subscribe and give us a rating or share it with a friend. That would be greatly appreciated as well. TheTechnicalTraders.com, your source for technically proven strategies to make more money with less risk so you can take your trading to the next level. Comments made on the Technical Traders Podcast are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed as investment advice or recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument. This information is for general information and educational purposes only. Guests on the show are not compensated for their participation. To view our full disclaimer, please visit our website at www.thetechnicaltraders.com.